practice more.
Believe it or not, I'm not usually that comfortable with calling the art direction of a show lazy. Even if it has an art style or presentation that I don't particularly like, I acknowledge and respect the time, research, and dedication that goes into developing the art style of a project that would take months, if not years, to produce. Mediocre output usually comes from a problem of not enough time, not enough budget, or not enough technical skill from the artists. Ultimate Alien Force not only rode off of the coattails from the original Ben 10 classic, which had a very keen attention to detail, but a huge portion of its production team are DC alumni. They either produced, developed, or wrote classics that visually and narratively stand the test of time, like Batman the Animated Series, Justice League, and Teen Titans. So when it came to Ben 10, what the hell happened? Ben 10 Alien Force is the first and only Ben 10 series to feature a black main character, and that's the fucking backgrounds. Diving into the full narrative of the Ultimate Alien Force era is a task big enough for 10 videos at this point. But I want to take a look at the visuals for a second, particularly 3 supporting characters' designs that have been a big point of contention within the community. Why? Because they came from a cloning chamber. I have only 1 hour each to redesign Albedo, Sunny, and Cooper Daniels. Usually I create a mood board to formulate the aesthetics for my redesigns. Not today. We're using the original design as a basis only, plus the character design knowledge that I have stored in my brain. Nothing more, nothing less. When I redesign these characters, I'm going to be focusing on shape language, posture, facial composition, accessories, and color theory. Their role in the story will be the exact same, I just want them to better visually reflect it. With that being said, let's lock and load. We're going to be starting with Albedo, the evil clone of Ben 10. Not actually Ben himself, but a rogue Galvin, hoping to eclipse Azimuth's intelligence by creating his own replica of the Omnitrix. Unfortunately, the Omnitrix has a DNA link with Ben, causing Albedo to turn into Ben's human form. But that doesn't mean he has to look exactly the same. Narratively, it makes perfect sense that Albedo looks exactly like Ben from a biological perspective. I want to respect that, but I find it hard to believe Albedo would retain the style that Ben has. So due to wandering the streets of Bellwood and beyond with no home, he looks more disheveled. He has paler skin and shaggy hair akin to Omniverse, and his eye bags are due to limitation of the human form. He's still allowed to get tired. I think he would try to distance himself from Ben in terms of clothing, so he loses the jacket entirely. Or at least the iconic 10 jacket that we know and love. His posture is more mentally unstable than Ben, if that makes sense. Not only is he not used to the posture of the human form, but he's used to being a lot smaller, so I wanted to convey that. Honestly, I wanted him to walk around like a fucking food fight character, but then he would lose all motion. Oh wait, Omniverse already took his motion? Go fucking figure! As we've already established ad nauseum, his facial composition is supposed to be the exact same as Ben, but as mentioned before, his hair and slightly altered eyes give him distinctness. This is a hypothetical perfect world where a third of UAF's character facial features didn't look the exact fucking same. I think his eyes would also be more narrow than Ben's because villainy. In terms of accessories, I don't see Albedo getting dripped out, aside from the Omnitrix replica that he already has. But does a new jacket count as an accessory? Because I really want to give him an overcoat and bandages similar to Azimuth in the reboot. Because, you know, bro wants to be the first thinker so bad. Just steal Azimuth's whole flow, how about that? Instead of Ben's, steal Azimuth's flow. The red and white color scheme is pretty much perfect in my eyes. It serves as a direct contrast to the green and black of Ben. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with Albedo. A lot of his design elements are, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But knowing his role in the story, I can't help but feel like it could have been pushed a bit further. With that being said,
Albedo.
Sunny is in a weird position. She's from the string of UA episodes after Ultimate Kevin that either nobody remembers or nobody likes. I get that she's supposed to be the antithesis of Gwen like Albedo is to Ben, but like, this fucking sucks. It feels like I don't know why that episode exists. It feels like they weren't trying to try. I don't... What the fuck, bro? She's a half-baked character, and it doesn't make sense that even in Omniverse, she steals Gwen's entire flow. Even after the universe is remade, she steals her whole fucking flow. My bad. Gwen is supposed to be an overachiever high school archetype, so to play opposites, I'm gonna give Sunny a high school slacker archetype. She has a 2000s alt vibe, and you could kind of tell they were going for an alt goth vibe, but UAF, as usual, does the least, so you can barely even tell. Even though she's more biologically similar to Gwen than her fucking brother, I think that her silhouette will be pretty different just because of the clothes. From a posture perspective, I think she would be more aloof than Gwen, often thinking about trivial things like boys and not doing shit, not being productive. I think she would have an alt but prep, holier than thou body language and tendencies. Like she's wearing alt clothing and accessories, but she is basically like a prep girl. Her facial composition would obviously be the same as Gwen, but because I think Gwen's facial features also need a redesign to differentiate her from Ben, I'll be taking from the classic series where they are more different. And just for the record, I don't think that Gwen needs a face redesign because she looks so similar to Ben. It does make sense as they are blood related. I think that she needs a face redesign because everybody looks like fucking Ben, because everybody in UAF has the same facial features. Wow, talking about UAF's art style is like actually tilting me, actually pissing me off. I'm so sorry. I think the black and purple is fine as it is, just diversify the outfit a little more so that those colors can be distributed more interestingly. With that being said, Sunny low-key sucks ass as a character, but I did what I can with what I have. Here's Sunny. I'm convinced that 90% of UA's budget was spent on hiring Chris Pratt. I refuse to believe that this is a 15-year-old. Out of all three characters we're going to be redesigning today, this has a complete change. I like the growth spurt idea, but instead of being an actual Kevin clone, I think that Cooper would be more stocky. He would retain a bit of that fat that he had when he was younger, but have muscle growth as a more natural event, instead of it looking like he was a bodybuilder relentlessly training in the gym. In terms of posture, I think he would have that awkward Clark Kent-esque demeanor. He would have limbs close together and he would be kind of hunched. He takes up a bit of space due to his large frame, but not much more than he actually needs. I get the feeling that he's still not comfortable in his own skin. In terms of facial composition, I want to bring back the unique eye shape and nose shape from the classic series. Like I said before, UAF gentrified all the face shapes to a point where a random fucking kid at the beach looks like Ben 10 himself. It started when an alien device did what it did as child. Why do you look like him? Back to the point, I think that Cooper would keep the freckles and the mullet thing he had back then as well. I don't know why they took it out. I think that's pretty gangster. He would have a lot of accessories, I think. Cooper would have a toolbox or a bag to further establish his tech wizard role. Because from his original design, you don't really get what he's supposed to be. When he was younger, you could kind of get that from the build, but now it's you're a 15-year-old. You look like a 30-year-old. And you're wearing clothes made for fucking 9-year-olds. As much as I think Cooper would have one of those hallmark eat, sleep, game, repeat shirts, I gotta remember that UAF does the least. So I think he would keep the 3 on his outfit, but it has more of a mechanical vibe with overalls and pockets. I think 5YL actually did that very well. But because I challenged myself to not use any other reference for the design other than the design itself, I kind of have to retrace that from memory. In terms of colors, I think his colors are fine as they are. If anything, I would make his clothes a little scuffed and stained as indication of his constant mechanic work. That would be done in the coloring stage since there are no outlines present. Out of all the characters shown today, I fuck with Cooper heavy. I fuck with him heavy. I just wish he was better utilized in this story. He feels like a complete afterthought after War of the Worlds. His growth spurt in later episodes is an interesting idea, but watching it made me feel like I just smoked crack. The discography from UAF's producers is elite and legendary and impressive, but the show doesn't reflect this in its art direction. It's like they took classic, took it from 100% down to like 40, and then mixed it with a Walmart version of the DCAU. Could it be budget, time, or just a creative disconnection from the original art directors who set the stage for Ben 10 like Dave Johnson or Tom Perkins? I would want to see a timeline where UAF locked the fuck in at all times. The character design principles I use for redesigns are pretty quote-unquote art school-esque, but I want to make the approach easy to understand for people who don't know. You have to learn the rules before you can break them. And though I consider myself a very adept character designer, I'm still inexperienced when it comes to creating designs that are not directly tethered to my own creative projects. So these redesigns are just as educational for me as they are for possible viewers. Let me know what you think of these designs. Did the originals even need reworking? Obviously, I think they did since I made the video, but I want to see opinions outside of myself. Do these go hard, or should I go back to working at Starbucks?